Hey everyone, and welcome to the HR Vision podcast. I'm your host, Ivo, and every week I'm going to have a conversation that matters about HR. This week I have Michael Bates with me. Welcome, Michael. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for being here. Michael is based in the UK. He's a support consultant at FourVision, and today we're going over his experience and the work he's doing as a support consultant. It's I think it's the first time we have in the show like kind of a developer. So we'll see how that goes. So let's start. You ready?
Ready, yeah.
Good. Okay, let's start from the top. Like almost any guest, I would like to know more about you, your background, and how did you come to this position, to this place?
Yeah, okay. I've been with FourVision just over a year now. Started in September 2020. Previously, I worked with a FourVision customer on an implementation of HR Plus. So that was basically, I got to meet a number of people from FourVision through that. So I hear Bert, Rebecca, a number of the consultants. So got to meet plenty of people. And I got to sort of a crossroads where I was at the customer, where they were looking to change direction in what they were doing. So it sort of made me think, I can either use this knowledge that I've learned over a couple of years doing the implementation or go and learn something else. So I approached Bert, who I'd met before, saying pretty much I'd be interested in coming and using the knowledge that I've learned of your products over the last couple of years. And they were very receptive to that, fortunately. So both Bert and Peter were very much in agreement of, yes, you can come and work for us. And it was a relatively stress-free interview process. So yeah, it was
awesome.
Really good.
Awesome. And your background was always in technology, anything related to HR or like studies and those kind of things?
Not really. So I'm a chemist by trade. I did a master's in chemistry, yeah. I had the unfortunate pleasure of graduating just as the first recession hit the UK. So it was a bit of a tough time. Fell into sort of an administrative role where I worked at my previous company, and then saw a role come up as a business analyst. Ignored it the first time, thinking I've got no experience doing this. I don't know what it's about. So I ignored it. Then it came up again. I just thought, apply, see what happens. Fortunately, I was successful there. After about a year in that role, we started looking towards doing an ERP implementation. And I sort of became responsible for the HR and payroll side of things. So all my knowledge of HR process and software has come, since maybe 2017, I think we started working on that. So it's been quite a hectic and steep learning curve, but it seems to be doing well for me.
I can imagine, but you're still enjoying it, I guess.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, it's interesting to see how things have even developed over the last 3 or 4 years. Everything's sort of changing and evolving, and all sorts of things helping people make decisions with data and analytics, and how apps and everything are becoming more of a norm, and people are starting to understand the power of sort of the data that's out there and how they can use that. So yeah, it's interesting.
Okay. All right. So that's the interest in technology was something that you always had, even as a chemist or even growing up, I guess. So did you have that already in you, or the business analyst position that you took just, drove you there?
I mean, I've always been a bit of a sort of a gamer geek. It's been one of my biggest hobbies all my life, really, that and cricket. So yeah, the technology interest's always been there through my sort of personal time. So when the role came, or the opportunity came up to move into that business analyst role of being involved in technology and looking at how we can sort of develop and improve processes, that sort of linked into things I was interested in. And I think it, when people say, oh, well, why are you working in IT? You're a chemist, you've got those skills surely don't match. But a lot of chemistry sort of lends itself to IT and particularly process management, because it's a lot of, why do we do this? What can we do to improve it? Where are the pinch points? And it's a similar sort of process of looking at why potentially reaction doesn't work to why a process isn't working in a business. And it's those sort of skills that are very much transferable, I've found.
Interesting. All right. So yeah, let's move to what you do now. My question is, what is it like, to be a support consultant, in this business, in HR tech? What does it mean? What you've been doing? What you think are the must-haves to be successful at that position?
Yeah, it's a bit of a cliche that I think I hear quite a lot, but no day is the same, especially in support, because it's not as if it's a typical Monday, this is going to happen, so I'm going to do this. Tuesday, I'm going to do this. It's very much reactive to what is happening with the customer, whether it be, something's going wrong or something's being developed and they need a hand developing a new process. So it's quite interesting in no day is the same. It's not monotonous. It's always new and interesting. And we have our little daily catch ups and to see where the issues are, where the pinch points are. So yeah, it is sort of agile, fast moving, but I really enjoy the fact that it doesn't get stagnant and boring. It is varied sort of every day.
Okay, cool. You arrive to the process rather well. It's after the implementation is done, right? So you start working with customers. What people might expect is that, okay, the work is done, or the implementation is done. We went live, but actually your function is very important to just, as the name says, support the customer through that journey, using the product, see if the requirements were really met. Can you tell us a bit more, like how do you do that? What is that process of getting the support done with the customer?
Yeah, I think the first main point for me and what I find most important is getting the customer to understand what information we need as support. And I think I can understand completely why a customer will say, this is not working, I need it fixing right now. But there's not a lot of detail in there. And it's like trying to find a needle in a haystack if you just get, this is not working. Trying to explain the needs of, has anything changed? Are you trying to do something different? Have you updated something? Have you clicked on something that you don't usually do? And sort of training the customer mindset to be like, oh, right, okay, I need to provide all this. And then sort of backing that up, moving on to prioritization, because again, completely understand every customer thinks their issue is the biggest issue and needs the most priority. And, working with leave, people are very protective of their leave, and people see issues with leave. Oh no, this is the biggest problem ever. But it's trying to have that relationship with the customer to say, and to try and sort of calm them down and say, yes, it's not working, but the people, no one's saying you can't have leave just because a number on a screen doesn't say what you're expecting it to, and try and support them, to use sort of the name of the department, and sort of just help people and make people realize that yes, it is an issue. Yes, it is going to sort it, but if you provide me all the information, it's going to make my life and your life much simpler, because I'm not going to come back to you bombarding you with 20 questions about what is going wrong, what's changed, I need this, I need that, let's have another meeting, let's talk about this. Just training the customer to have that relationship, really.
Yeah, I totally get that. That comes a bit to the to the next question, which is, what are the common challenges that you face when you get into the support stage of the process? The most common challenges, of course, probably is exactly what you said. The fact that the customer doesn't know exactly how to explain what is happening, what are the mistakes that they've made maybe using the product. But can you tell us a bit more, like, what are common challenges that you face being in support?
Yeah, I mean, like we've mentioned, that going through and getting the right amount of information is difficult. And again, the priority, like I say, everyone thinks their issue is the most important. Um, and then just sort of other things. So when we get an issue, we'll go away and try and replicate it internally. And there's a number of situations where people say, well, I'm doing this and I'm getting this result and it's not right. And then we'd go away, test it, come back and say, actually, in our standard environment where everything's set up as it should be, it does work okay. And you get that sort of impasse between yourself and the customer where we're saying, well, the product's right. And they're saying, well, it's your product and it's not working for me. And it's trying to get to where that responsibility lies to say, yes, it is our product that's not working, but the issue is potentially with your data, with your infrastructure, or something specifically going on in your environment. That's sort of the biggest challenge, because people will see this is a FourVision product, it's not working as it should do, therefore it's FourVision's problem, which I can completely understand. But again, it's just building that relationship and trying to get that rapport with customers for them to sort of trust what you're saying to them, because I think trust is a key part of the sort of support consultant's role. We're supposed to be the people with all the knowledge, and people need to trust that what we're sending back to people is correct, because they've spent and invested a lot of time and money and resources on these systems. So they need to trust and have that rapport with us that everything we're going to send back is correct and is, having their best interests at heart, I suppose.
Yeah, that is very interesting, because from what you've been saying, I think you probably get a lot of insights coming from the customer side, coming from those challenges that you face, the problems that the customer face with the products that you can feed into the company to improve the product and all that. Does that happen often?
Yeah, I mean, being involved in sort of the support as well, I get to do a lot of testing of the new releases. So the web apps are constantly evolving and being developed at a massive pace. As soon as we release one version, there's more and more features coming out in the new one, and we're on a constant sort of conveyor belt of testing new functionality. And there are situations where customers will come back to us and say, oh, wouldn't it be good if this particular part of the web app did this? And we go away and think about that, and it comes, oh yeah, that would be really good. And that sort of evolves into our core product. So it's always, it's like a two-way street, where if a number of customers say, ideally we'd like this in the web app, there's that potential need there to evolve our product and make it, more worth using for more customers. So the product's always evolving, it's always improving, and it's always meeting the needs of more customers. So yeah, that relationship is key for the web apps to evolve.
Yeah, that makes total sense. I know that you are very, sometimes I can see you in very active on some of the Microsoft's community channels, because you're working with the platforms and you're feeding in, new ideas all the time. And I know that it's something that you like to test, and you get excited by new features on the products that we develop. So even sometimes problems or solutions that you get end up being passed on to customers. Can you tell us a bit more about that process? Does it always come from you, or mostly from the customer side?
The majority of sort of new requirements do come in from customers, where they've looked at what the web app does and said, this is a gap for, not a gap, an opportunity for development. Within the product. But there are, like I say, because we do a test on every release of every web app, there are opportunities for us to input and say, this bit of functionality does this, but wouldn't it be better if this happened or this happened? So yeah, there's always opportunity there, because we're sort of right at the start of the product being put out into the wild that we can see sort of gaps in functionality or bits that need an extra bit of sort of touching up, and get those out with customers. Yeah. So yeah, it's good to be sort of part of the department that can help shape and grow the product that we're offering.
All right. Yeah, I had just escaped me, but so when imagine, let's move on to the next question. I will remind myself about it later. So imagine that a customer that never went through implementation is starting the process now with us, or thinking about it. After the implementation comes the support stage. Not all the customers, actually, depending on what they're doing, request a support contract. But when they do, what they can expect, when, how early in the process do you get in, you or the team get in, can they expect like a cadence of meetings? It's only by request. How do you work on that?
Oh, we try to do everything using DevOps, so that's quite a major part of our role. Managing DevOps, we have sort of two separate areas: one for developing the product and one for managing customer tickets. There is sort of some resistance sometimes from customers because it is another new system that they have to learn how to use and have to sort of get into their day job. But in terms of managing issues, managing changes, managing what people are looking for, what people are expecting, getting that formal sign off, it's such a sort of key tool for us to manage what's going on. I've had a sort of couple of support issues in the past where it's been a lot of back and forth by email. Email's great for certain things, but tracking an issue that's been going on for weeks and weeks and weeks, you lose things in the thread or in the detail, and you end up having to go back and ask the same questions. Where if you've got the customer on their own specific platform where they can log things in a structured manner, everyone knows where to look. Everyone can look through the history. Okay, what's Michael done? What's development done? What's the customer project manager doing? What are the end users doing? It putting out those roles and responsibilities and making everyone clear on what they want to do makes everyone's life just so much easier than
of course
sending emails to everyone.
I'm sure. So when they're coming in, do you guys have an introduction meeting with them, explaining how the DevOps platform works? What is, if you can give me like a step-by-step process?
Yeah. So I've just started working on one of the projects now in terms of supporting through UAT. So they've had their introduction to DevOps from one of the consultants, being told how to structure things. So now they've moved on to testing. All their requirements are on DevOps, and the tests are linked to there. So they go through, add their test steps, what they've done on there, and if there are any problems, raise an issue. We triage the issue, see if their issue meets what's been agreed in the design, just so we've got that traceability so that people aren't saying this is an issue because I think so. It's actually this is an issue because it doesn't meet what it says in the design. Then look at whether we can fix that in terms of, is it some config that's wrong? Is it some config that needs changing? Is it a data issue? Data migration issues, I'm sure, are common throughout every project. Because it's such a massive undertaking. Or is it something that needs developing extra, and it's having processes in place and having a project structure that everyone knows that they follow makes just everyone's life just so much easier.
Of course. Yeah, no, I can imagine. Now I remember the question that I had before this one. You have a lot of you worked with all our web apps, or most of them?
All of them. Yeah,
all of them. I was just curious if you have a favorite of yours.
It's It's a difficult one. I mean, there's so many that do different things. I think in terms of being the most powerful performance management and requests that are there, with the push and pull of data from D365, the process that you can do through there are really impressive, particularly with request and the amount of configuration there is in there. Whether I would say that makes it my favorite, I'm not sure, because it makes support,
your job super harder.
Yeah, because there's so many things to look at. If things have gone wrong, it's sometimes a bit of a nightmare. But because I've been fortunate, like I say, to do all the regression testing on all the latest releases, I get to see the functionality of all the web apps, whereas maybe someone, in consultancy may have never worked on a project that has request, or never worked on a project that has timesheet management, and they maybe miss that experience. Whereas in the support team, we get to see, everything that the company's working on, and it gives you a big rounded knowledge of everything that we're doing. And I think the way we're moving forward now into getting the web apps to integrate with each other, with request pushing documents into document management, or onboarding pushing documents into document management, integrating things with DocuSign, it's making the sort of the offer that FourVision have so much more powerful than a standalone. Before I worked at FourVision, the only experience I had with the web apps was using the leave app, which, yes, it's great. It's you can book leave on your phone rather than using F&O, which potentially doesn't look so great on a mobile phone.
Yeah.
But it is very much a web app of one function, booking leave. But the way we've evolved now, and the way the web apps are set up, there's so much more that they can do, and there's so much power there. And then using the OData feeds that are available out of those to get that data, and have analytics of, well, what people are using the web apps for, what volume of transactions are going through there, how many documents do we have stored, what type of documents are we storing, which do we potentially need to look at, changing our process, changing our setup. And it's just that even in just the last year that I've been, the functionality that's been available within the web apps has just grown so much.
Yeah.
And occasionally it's a bit of a poison chalice for support, where potentially development's moving a lot quicker than we can learn internally, and that's probably quite of a challenge to get everyone within the support department up on that knowledge straight away as soon as they're available. But I think it's essential for FourVision as a business, for those web apps to keep evolving and keep expanding the customer base by meeting more customers' needs.
Yeah, and so do you normally access the data? How do you look into that? And do you guys as a team has a process to improve the web apps based on the data? How do you store it? How do you have a process for that? That's my question.
Not often, really. No, we're aware of how it's done. So getting the data out and using Power Query to query it in Excel, for example, just to see, what data's there. I think it's very much a customer end sort of issue process for the customer to say, right, I want to report on this, and this, but just for us to know the process of, okay, this is how you get that data out. How you want to manipulate that, interpret that is entirely up to you, but we can support you in getting that data out, so you can make your business decisions based on what that's saying.
Yeah, no, I get that. That was not exactly what I was asking. Not the personal data of the customer. Of course, we shouldn't and we can't have access to that. But if we look through the data, like the back end, let's say, like the what is the features that customers use the most? What is the features that actually giving more problems or more bugs? Let's say, do we look into that and we use that to improve? Do we have a process for that? That was what I was intending.
No, we don't at the minute, but I think that is something that we can look at. We do use quite a lot of tags within DevOps to see, which customers log in issues with which web app. So that information is there, and we have got dashboards available for looking at that sort of information. But from sort of my point of view, where I sit in support, it doesn't really influence the development roadmap. I think the development roadmap's quite set in stone, and I think we're trying to move towards a model of the web apps becoming a standard offer rather than specific people saying, "Oh, well, I want this bit in my web app, I want this bit in my web app." I think trying to standardize everything makes things a lot easier for the business for us to say, "This is our standard web app offer." We can then back it up with documentation because it's the same from this is the best practice process. Here you go. This is how you do it, and it potentially could speed up implementations, but help customers know. We can give all that information on demand, I suppose, as the customer needs it, and say, "Here you go. Digest this as you want, and then we'll see how you want to set it up."
Right. Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, one last question for you. It's more like looking into the future. So you've seen a lot of developments, the latest things that we've been working on, the connection with Dynamics 365 HR. Now it's coming back to F&O and all that. My question to you is that, do you see anything coming in the pipeline for developments, integrations, maybe, I don't know, more automation, more AI? Do you see interesting stuff? What are the trends that you're seeing coming in that you think will be awesome to work on or awesome for the customers?
Yeah, I think just going back into my background of my previous job, there was a lot of repair work and jobs being organized, work orders being organized for members of staff at that business. And I think the exciting thing for me in the future is being able to use that HR knowledge that exists for everyone, be it as simple as whereabouts do they work, what are they trained to do, what can they do, what time of day do they work, and using that knowledge and leveraging that knowledge to start assigning tasks and work to them in sort of a smart fashion. So not having someone there looking at list of data all day saying, right, I know this person works here, I know this person can do this, and having to rely on someone that knows the business, that's been there for years and years and years, having all that knowledge in their head, having that central repository of data where anyone can come in and manage the system to assign the work and the jobs as it needs doing. I think using that data and leveraging the data that's there to make smart business decisions is the next step for me in HR, because it's nice to have all that data there. It's nice to have it all in one place. Yeah. But the benefit is, how can I make my business more efficient? How can I make my business more cost effective by using that data? Do I need more people trained to do a certain job? Do I need more people in this area? Do I need less people in this area? Do I need to pay people more in this area? Yeah. And just being able, instead of having to, give someone a massive load of data and say, figure these answers out for me, we can just ask data that's in D365, what's the answer to this question? And that makes it sound really simple, which obviously it's not quite that simple, but the functionality there is there, and the power's there in that data to influence and answer those questions for people. Yeah, so I think that's like really exciting.
Look, that's very practical. I think everybody can relate to that, and I think people looking for systems or whatever that may be to improve their HR processes can certainly relate to that. They want to have more power in their hands, more decision power on their hands, and data is the only way to go with it. And it's a great possibility that technology brought us, right? So yeah, I think that's very practical. It's a very good note to end this episode. So Michael, once again, thank you so much for coming in.
Thanks for having me on.
I hope you enjoyed it. I did. So yeah, I'll see you around. For people listening out there, we'll see you next time.
Okay, thank you very much.